In the morning, you got me up, all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening, wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking, again and again, argue about everything. You are my darling, this kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day, I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say, we gon' be okay, we just gotta boom bada boom ba. I don't wanna fight, you know that I'm right. Baby, let me talk to your body. We gon' be okay, hear me when I say.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office released police body cam footage showing Moses being arrested.
Let me go! Let me go!
Authorities say the 19-year-old shot and killed a woman identified.
New details tonight about the man accused of fatally shooting 3 people in Orlando yesterday, including a 9-year-old girl and a television news reporter.
We're also hearing from our extended news family who are shocked and grieving their loss. CBS 4's Naja Sherman joins us in the studio tonight. Naja, what are they saying?
Lauren and Elliot, they are shedding new light on the type of person that reporter Dylan Lyon was. And authorities are revealing new information about the Florida man accused of killing 3 people and hurting several others.
Keith Moses sits behind bars in Central Florida a day after allegedly carrying out a deadly shooting rampage.
Bullets don't only kill victims, they rip apart entire families.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office released police body cam footage showing Moses being arrested.
Let me go! Let me go!
Authorities say the 19-year-old shot and killed a woman identified as 38-year-old Nathacha Augustin Wednesday morning in the Pine Hills neighborhood as she sat in a car with a friend. 5 hours later, the suspect returned to the scene, injuring photographer Jesse Walden and killing 24-year-old reporter Dylan Lyons, who were there on assignment. Walden is recovering in the hospital. In an interview posted on his station's website, mynews13.com, he had this to say about his friend.
Dylan was a very, very wholesome person. He had a great sense of humor too.
For unknown reasons, police say Moses also entered a home and shot a mother and her 9-year-old daughter.
They were transported to the hospital where, unfortunately and tragically, 9-year-old Tiana Major died from her injuries.
At Thursday's news conference, Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings announced officials will reestablish a citizen safety task force to address gun violence.
We are committed to utilizing our funding, your tax dollars, in an appropriate way to address these issues going forward long term.
Tonight, the mother of the 9-year-old remains hospitalized in critical condition, and authorities say that Moses had a lengthy criminal history, which included previous gun charges.
Of course, our thoughts are with that mother and with that photographer who's still in the hospital tonight. Amazing to hear from him, see that he is recovering.
Just incredible. Yesterday in critical condition, today speaking and sharing his thoughts on Dylan.
We wish him the best. Thank you, Naja.
Remember those days, those L's, I couldn't sleep right now. I get paid, vacay, I'm staying B-side. Breaking the blues over steak, I gotta eat right. You could be my peace sign. I don't need that energy around me. I just need sun, you're so cloudy. I wake up good, you're so grouchy. Please get from around me. When the truth don't work, you start telling lies. Thought you were down to ride, you weren't down to ride. Caught switching, you were picking sides. Don't blink, caught slipping like a slip and slide. I was shooting dice till I got a nosebleed. Money on the floor, can't get cold feet. Took an L, should've put it in the offering. Lord, forgive me for my sins, don't know of me. Scary thoughts, I got scary thoughts. Lost control, now I'm taking charge. Breaking bills, friends breaking off. You could be the youngest, I'm the dawn. Kiss the ring now. In the scene like GOT. Stay awake, don't sleep. Like Jon Snow, get R.I.P. Remember those days, those L's, I couldn't sleep right now. I get paid, vacay, I'm staying B-side. Breaking the blues over steak, I gotta eat right. You could be my peace sign. I don't need that energy around me. I just need sun, you're so cloudy. I wake up good, you're so grouchy. Please get from around me. Just Just me, myself, and I, my favorite threesome. Yeah. The cars I drive by, I never lease them. No. They say if you can't beat them, then you join them. No. That's no option, I don't join, I always beat them. Yeah. I was faking, had to find me. Now I'm on beat, skating like I'm grinding. Hell hit me, said it's all about the timing. If you want the vision, get to spinning. My mama told me trust in God, it's never limits. Now I'm on the scoreboard, running up the digits. I put in work, you know I'm up to get it. Early bird gets the worm and the Yankee fitted. Like, whoa, bags under my eyes and you know. Won't complain, I'm tired, I'm on go. For that grip, 10 toes till they swole. For that grip, 10 toes till they swole. Remember those days, those L's, I couldn't sleep right. Now I get paid, vacay, I'm staying B-side. Breaking the blues over steak, I gotta eat right. You could be my peace sign. I don't need that energy around me. I just need sun, you're so cloudy. I wake up good, you're so grouchy. Please get from around me. I was starving, now I'm eating till my belly full. From up north, we get cold, you need a heavy coat. Scared to end up on a shirt before a centerfold. Devil on my back, target on me, belly too. Play the keys, don't tweet. It's not peace, don't speak. 24, no sleep. This is real, no tweet. My bros for life, can't break this lane. Family on my side, baby stay around me. I don't want no combo, I want checks. I don't want the second, I want this. I'm all in my ass way, I'm a wreck. I've been moving like a hot mess. I don't want no combo, I want checks. I don't want the second, I want this. I'm all in my ass way, I'm a wreck. I've been moving like a hot mess. Want that combo, better know you'll need a check from me. Can pay to play, the sun still won't get a cent from me. I mix the fit up with the salt like it's a remedy. I mix it up inside the pot, watch it drip while it drop. Time to take it to the top. Chips all in the middle like it fall, no I won't flop. We gon' pop like a soda can top. To me this is nothing, call my bluff and I won't stop when I flex. I don't want no combo, I want checks. I want the checks, yeah. I don't want the second, I want best. I want best, yeah. By any means, that's a triple threat. A triple threat. That ass is getting bigger, I might flex. I don't want no combo, I want checks. I don't want the second, I want best. I'm all in my ass way, I'm a wreck. I've been moving like a hot mess. I don't want no combo, I want checks. I don't want the second, I want best. I'm all in my ass way, I'm a wreck. I've been moving like a hot mess. I hit record a drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets. When I'm performing, never boring, now you can't afford it. Champagne Perrier, finished friends on my face. Looking like I'm from the deep, these no Cartiers. Pockets deep, bro. I can make it in my seat, bro. Do you, I'm doing me, bro. Making noise, use a beat, bro. Whoa, I press the button and the doors go off like, whoa. That money clip was not a new, now looks like, whoa. Upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like, whoa. Neighborhood on the scene, neighborhood on the strip. Neighborhood be the name, neighborhood no crib. Neighborhood that's me, neighborhood that's Nick. Neighborhood do the dance, neighborhood do the deal. Okay, thought I'd never make it like no way. I'm the real deal, no role play. My days off, that's no days. No, I hustle hard, young rose. E be the shooter, that's cold case. Bills on the deals, that's brose. Got no pay, yo, no say. Okay, this the new, tell them read it. Been the one since the fetus. Don't sleep on me, Tempur-Pedic. That's a no. Spending dope for no reason. Got a ball head, Mr. Cleaner. Heard the big bags overseas, then we gon' go. Whoa, I press the button and the doors go off like, whoa. That money clip was not a new, now looks like, whoa. Upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like, whoa. tunnel vision when I hit the holly. Working on that cause my mind is on an island. Told my babies I'll be home late, so don't stay up. Breaks my heart to see them sad, so I won't wait up. Need it all that's mine, I need it now. I lost my patience the same week I lost my smile. My baby pressed me, said I'm acting like a child. I took some L's, can lie, that really brought me down. I'm so antisocial, but I guess it's type selective. Swear I'll make a change, but for now I just can't help it. Only trusting God in these scars that I've been dealt with. I'ma do my job, time to grind, time to know. They know, 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 they know. Pedal to the metal, they know. Gone and I won't let up, they know. I'm not so fed up, they know. Say it for the record, they know. They know, they know, they know. Yeah, they know. Pedal to the metal, they know. I'm not so fed up, they know. Why you never sign? You sign when you go live. Stuck inside that bubble, never ever go outside. You don't know you know computers, you're a tech guy. Back against a wall, you gon' fall or you gon' ride. I feel the pressure, foot to the pedal. My dogs, they fed up, my squad won't let up. Those sneakers CDG, hot on step on. My money yoga, the way it stretch on. I change locations to change the weather. Know when that rain come, got my umbrella. And when my day come, my name gon' stay up. Yeah, I know, I know, I know. Pedal to the metal, they know. Gone and I won't let up, they know. I'm not so fed up, they know. Say it for the record, they know. They know, they know, they know. Yeah, they know. Pedal to the metal, they know. I'm not so fed up, they know.
Before there was the manosphere, I was. Before there was the internet, I was. I was that Sigma male crying out in the wilderness for justice and equality for those that are downtrodden and broken, those that are voiceless. I was the kosher clinician. Before I was the kosher clinician on the internet. My plight and my war cry for justice and humanity is nothing fake. But I've always been kosher. Then sit back and get this kosher fight.
Hello everyone. Is there equality in America, fact or fantasy? First of all, I would like to salute all fellow human beings and most graciously those who are beacons of light for justice and righteousness. To vocally explain the tenets of equality, fact or fantasy, I must begin with the combination of two alphabets, I and F, which spells if. No respect of person, but gives protection to all of them that fear him. So therefore I ask you this profound and non-scholastic question. If there was equality in America, will I be standing here today? You decide, fact or fantasy.
This is Kosher Connection. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is Kosher Connection. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is Kosher Connection. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. Heaven and hell, that's what they told you. Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. Young heads picking back up and young dolphins. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician, masculinity issues. Absent fathers who miss you. Mama drama don't kiss you. All a part of the ritual. This is how they get you. Separate the men, women, clipping babies pretend to. Damn. Lovers, haters acting like vultures. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. Listen. Listen.
Kosher clinician. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right.
Listen.
Kosher clinician. Stop playing. On tonight would be more or less assume or assess the single-parent homes of baby mama called gremlins. And I think it's safe to say that gremlins can be a byproduct of baby mamas. Now listen, guys, we know, and I know, and you know, that gremlins are not a byproduct of women that were married and their husbands went away. But gremlins appear to be the byproduct of baby mamas. And we're going to explore them tonight, guys, and it's going to make sense. So get your pens and paper ready, guys, as I'm about to drop some fire for your mind. Let's do it.
Laugh it to the bank like laugh it to the bank like I got it in 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s. Laugh it to the bank like pedal to the floor, need no brake lights. In the dark, watching make light.
The question on tonight is, who's creating these kids that are currently and radically out of control? What can we learn about behaviors associated with gremlins? Is it a byproduct of baby mama drama? What say you?
I got it in 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s. I get it, I flip it and continue. I've been going dumb, I've been going mental. Going up, I'm on another level. All black clothes like a metal. Little this and this, little Ricky Rick. It's my grandmama, I'm her Nicky Nick. I just wanna love, but I've been hit or miss. I might up and leave, maybe take a pic. Laugh it to the bank like ha 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 ha. Laugh it to the bank like ha 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 ha. I got it in 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s.
All right, guys, we're about to start in a minute.
100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s.
This Leo swag in effect. All right, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it, man. To all the brothers and sisters that tune in on tonight. I've been extremely busy with clinical work. And I've been extremely busy with trying to grow as a professional. But the question on tonight is this, guys, as it is very profound. Who create gremlins? And once again, shout out to Mess and Mashawn, because Mashawn came up with the concept of gremlins. And gremlins, in my mind, or in my best estimate, means giving related energy mama left in neglect. And that's what a gremlin is. It's giving related energy that mama left in neglect. And see, many of these boys, guys, that are raised in these current homes are the byproducts of neglect, because some of these women got with irreprehensible men that did not do the right thing, or did not put them in a situation where they could be their best. And see, guys, you know and I know that kids are at their best when they have a mother and a father in the home. And while I'm not going to blame it all on the baby mama if she had one child, but when you continue to have kids by multiple men, sadly, then there's a level of culpability, because you're giving your body to a man that's not worthy of your body unless you put a ring on the finger. And shout out to my man Gregory Scotland, because he's right, and I'm going to read the super chat in a minute. But in the meantime, shout out to Messy Mashawn for the 5. I appreciate it, Messy Mashawn. I appreciate it. And then also shout out to my man Gregory. And Gregory said this, guys. Gregory said that salute to you, Kosher. This should be a great subject. Look at how many black women got upset over the single motherhood topic. Yet he didn't mention race. You're correct. Also, many women in this space get very agitated over this subject. And there's no need to get agitated. It's called making better choices. Now, I need to be clear on what I'm saying, because if I don't be clear, there's going to be somebody that's going to take what I'm saying out of context. Men and women are responsible for bringing children into this world. But there's a greater level of culpability on the woman's half, because she's the gatekeeper to her body. She's the gatekeeper to sex. But see, when you are living in a modern time, in a modern world where you give your body to unworthy men, then the byproduct, guys, are gremlins. And once again, gremlins means giving related energy, mama left in neglect. I'm going to say it again. Giving related energy that mama left in neglect. Because see, when I worked in law enforcement and working as a therapist, guys, children have a higher recidivist rate or a higher proclivity towards crime when they're born in single-parent homes, especially by baby mamas, because many times baby mamas have multiple kids, and they tend to have mental health issues and mental health disparities. But in the meantime, thank you, Gregory Scotland, for that $20 super chat. And that's a deal, right? Thank you, sir.
It's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Got 5 on it.
And Gregory Scotland, because of your $20 super chat, brother, you always showing love and kindness. Gregory Scotland, you are the #1 sponsor of this stream. Thank you, sir. So once again, guys, gremlin behavior is a byproduct of what you're seeing in this guy by the name of Melvin Moses. Melvin Moses went and destroyed 4 people's lives. He took 3, and 1 is in critical condition. Because see, when you don't have fathers to give you structure and order, instead of saying on my father or on God, many of these boys and men, because they don't have fathers, many times instead of saying that, then they'll always say on my mama. And see, when I worked in law enforcement, worked in the juvenile delinquency field, you can always tell the guys that were immature and had a greater proclivity for deviance and violence. And I'm not saying that every child that's born in a single parent home is going to turn out bad. I'm not saying that. But we're talking about the odds. The odds are a lot greater when they're born in single parent homes. And many times, because they are reckless and they are emotional, they'll say, "Oh, my mama."
Yeah, put chain on the balls on my mom. They be broken balls. Kill some of my mom. Bro, they back me look like that's on my monkey. That's on my monkey. That's on my monkey.
And so once again, GREMLIN stands for giving related energy, mama left in neglect. And a lot of these kids, guys, because, you know, the mother is overwhelmed, she doesn't have the proper support. Many times she can't do multiple duties. But once again, it's one thing to have one child, but they have multiple children. And because they have multiple children out of wedlock, guys, a lot of times, it puts a lot of stress on that mother, which in essence leave that child at a greater risk for personality disorders and criminality. Many men that are in prison today are the byproducts of baby mamas. And once again, women and men both are culpable, but the woman has a higher level of culpability because she continued to give her body to unworthy men, dusty men, Raekwon, Man, and Day. And once again, they over-identified not with masculinity, but they over-identify with their mama, which is a thinking error. Because see, when a boy is masculine and he identifies with his father or he identifies with God, he's more apt to think logical instead of thinking emotional. Now watch this. As I told you guys before in the past from the clinical, a child that's a byproduct of being around his mom too much instead of having the tutelage of men or a man. Because a boy can thrive in the environment if you have other strong men around him, like grandfather, strong uncles or brothers or whatever. But when that child is in the environment by himself, then it can create gremlins. Giving related energy that mama left in neglect. Giving related energy that mama left in neglect. Because the greatest precursor to deviance and narcissism and psychopathy and Machiavellianism, the dark triad traits, is neglect and abuse. And many of these children are in neglect and abuse because their mothers are overwhelmed. Their mothers themselves are living through vicarious trauma. They have a level of hatred towards the father because that boy reminds her of the daddy. So they take their triggers and their anger out on their sons because their sons remind them of the man that abandoned them, lied to them, got her pregnant, and then take care of his responsibilities. And listen, it's a percentage of men, in my opinion, based on the data, that's causing this chaos. By and large, most black men are decent men. But sadly, you can have the blue-collar hustler, and you can also have Raekwon the Man, because it's not always thugs, but it can be thugs. But it can also be Raekwon and Man. And so, once again, do baby mamas create gremlins? Once again, giving related energy, mama left in neglect. And I'm going to break it down for you because it's going to be very comprehensive because I'm about to drop some fire for your mind. Fire! I am the coach for your mind. And this is going to make some sense, guys, because, you know, I work with kids, you know, in this sphere because recidivism rates are higher in kids where they don't have intact two-parent homes. Now, I need you guys to listen. We're talking about the odds. Can a child be born in a two-parent home become a deviant? Yes. But the odds are greater in a single-parent home with baby mamas versus a two-parent intact home with a strong mother and a strong father and them working together. And that's the biggest crux, or that's the issue that makes sense the most. Shout out to my man, Passport OG, guys. And guys, do me a favor, share this stream on tonight. I appreciate it. Donate to the channel if you have not. And guys, we're going to get deep into it. So give me a minute. Let me bring this thing up real quick. And we're going to talk about it from a clinical perspective. And it's going to make sense, guys, once again. So the young man name was Melvin Moses. I believe that was his name. And so let's look at it. And this happened in Orlando, Florida. And I'm going to read it, and it's going to make some sense. So this young man, authorities TV reporter, girl fatally shot, and also a grown woman. And so let's go look into it, guys, and I'm going to read it. A Central Florida television journalist and a little girl were fatally shot Wednesday afternoon near the scene of a fatal shooting from earlier in the day, authorities said. Orange County Sheriff John Mina said during the news conference that they identified Keith Melvin Moses, 19, who they believe is responsible in the shootings in the Orlando area neighborhood. This gremlin took the life of a baby girl that was aspiring. He killed a black woman, he killed a white TV reporter, and he fatally wounded somebody else. And this gremlin had the nerve to scream and holler when he got apprehended. And you guys are going to see it from this clip. Hold tight. You guys are going to see it. Hold tight.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office released police body cam footage showing Moses being arrested.
Let me go! Let me go!
Authorities say the 19-year-old shot and killed a woman identified.
New details tonight about the man accused of fatally shooting 3 people in Orlando yesterday, including a 9-year-old girl and a television news reporter.
We're also hearing from our extended news family who are shocked and grieving their loss. CBS 4's Naja Sherman joins us in the studio tonight. Naja, what are they saying?
Lauren and Elliot, they are shedding new light on the type of person that reporter Dylan Lyon was. And authorities are revealing new information about the Florida man accused of killing 3 people and hurting several others.
Keith Moses sits behind bars in Central Florida a day after allegedly carrying out a deadly shooting rampage.
Bullets don't only kill victims, they rip apart entire families.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office released police body cam footage showing Moses being arrested.
Let me go! Let me go!
Authorities say the 19-year-old shot and killed a woman identified as 38-year-old Nathacha Augustin Wednesday morning in the Pine Hills neighborhood as she sat in a car with a friend. 5 hours later, the suspect returned to the scene, injuring photographer Jesse Walden and killing 24-year-old reporter Dylan Lyons, who were there on assignment. Walden is recovering in the hospital. In an interview posted on his station's website, mynews13.com, he had this to say about his friend.
Dylan was a very, very wholesome person. He had a great sense of humor too.
For unknown reasons, police say Moses also entered a home and shot a mother and her 9-year-old daughter.
They were transported to the hospital where, unfortunately and tragically, 9-year-old Tiana Major died from her injuries.
At Thursday's news conference, Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings announced officials will reestablish a citizen safety task force to address gun violence.
We are committed to utilizing our funding, your tax dollars, in an appropriate way to address these issues going forward long term.
Tonight, the mother of the 9-year-old.
And once again, guys, y'all saw that gremlin laughing. He's smiling because he thinks it's damn funny to take somebody's life. And you know, I've seen it. I see it a lot. I saw it a lot when I worked in with adjudicated youth. And many times they are the spawns of baby mamas. Don't have no structure, don't have no order, don't have no fathers, and don't have no ownership. And they create the men many times that they got with. They create Raekwon, Man, and Day Day. And when Raekwon and Man and Day Day get mad, they always will say this because they over-identify with their mama.
Yeah, put chain on my mom. That be broken mom. Kill some of my mom. They back me look like
that's on my monkey. That's on my monkey. That's on my monkey.
Yeah, they say on my mama. And it's sad because this man took the life of a baby girl. And that baby girl will never see the light of day again. She'll never see the light of day again. And so besides Spectrum News, 13 journalists, and a 9-year-old TV girl, a TV member, and the girl's mother was wounded during the second shooting, they were in critical condition at the local hospital. So this is what happened, guys. Keith Melvin Moses shot a black woman initially. The woman was how can I say it? She was a woman trying to do a kind deed. After he shot the black woman, while they were looking at the crime scene, he came back, guys, and shot a little girl, killed the little girl, the 9-year-old little girl, shot her mom, killed the news reporter, and wounded another news reporter. And once again, guys, these are gremlins because many times they have what's called oppositional defiant disorder, which leads to conduct disorder, which also leads to antisocial personality disorder, which can lead to psychopathy, Machiavellianism, and also narcissism. And many times it's the byproduct of them having to overcompensate because there were some times or points in their life where they didn't develop socially. And that's why, based on the research, kids tend to do better in an environment where there's a mother and a father, especially with strong fathers, and they have strong communities. Actually, boys and girls do good with their fathers alone as well because dads and fathers give structure and they give orders. I want to acknowledge what a horrible day this has been for our community and our media partners. Mina told a full room of reporters, I work closely with all of you and know many of you and know that it's very difficult that you do and also very important job for our community and for law enforcement. No one in our community, not a mother, not a 9-year-old, and certainly not news professionals, should become the victim of gun violence in our community. This is what the sheriff said. Hold tight.
Come for the breathtaking beaches. Stay for the historic charm. Come for the gills. Stay for the thrills. From our historic riverfront to our scenic shores, discover Wilmington and beaches, the best of the Carolina coast, all in one
commercial
place.
pass away in a minute. Give me a minute.
On Hialeah Street, deputies located 2 men who had been shot in or near a vehicle. They are a News 13 reporter and photographer who were on the scene to cover the homicide from this morning. On Harrington Street, a woman and her 9-year-old girl were also shot inside of a home. It is unclear why the suspect entered that home.
And right, once again, guys, these kind of men do reckless behaviors because they don't have any guidance. Mina said they don't immediately have a motive for any of their shootings. And of course they don't have a motive for it because they don't value or they don't have values. Because when you're raised in a strong home where there's a strong father, the odds are higher that they have values based on integrity and doing the right thing. So the suspect is not saying much right now, Mina said. It's unclear if he knew they were news media or not. We're still trying to work it all out. Mina said in the news vehicle, he did not look like a typical news van with TV station markings. Deputies responded to the Pine Hill area just northwest of Ohio or Orlando on Wednesday, a morning following reports of a woman in her 20s being shot. So once again, he shot a black woman in her 20s. He goes on to shoot a 9-year-old baby. He killed that 9-year-old baby. He shot her mother. He killed the news reporter, and he injures another one. And this is the gremlin. Giving related energy, mama left, and neglect. Because I promise you, he's probably the spawn of a baby mama. And it's unfortunate. According to the witnesses, a man approached a news vehicle later and opened fire, hitting 2 repo. According to a witness, a man approached a news vehicle Wednesday and opened fire, hitting the 2 reporters. The man walked to a nearby home and shot the mother and the daughter. Make it make sense, guys. You're just rambling, taking the lives of people because you don't have no structure and you don't have any discipline in your life. Shout out to my man, my dear friend, Dallas D. Thank you, love, for being so kind and showing love, and I look forward to having you on the show on tomorrow. Dallas D., because of your love offering, you are also one of the #1 sponsors on the stream. Thank you, sweetie. I appreciate it.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Got 5 on it.
It's the money.
All right, so WFTV crews who were also reporting on the morning shootings tried to give medical aid to the Spectrum 13 journalist. Mina said Moses is already facing a murder charge for the initial victim. So remember, he killed a black woman first, or a sister first. Charges are expected soon for the other 4 victims. Moses' criminal history includes gun charges as well as aggravated battery, assault with a deadly weapon, burglary, and grand theft offense, the sheriff said. Our hearts goes out to the family journalists killed today and the crew members injured in Orange County, Florida, as well as the whole Spectrum News team. White House Press Secretary Karen Jean-Pierre said on Twitter, Spectrum 13 News was not identifying the crew member who were involved in the shooting, according to the story on the TV station's website. Please say a prayer for a co-worker who is in critical condition, and while you are at it, send a prayer for every victim of gun violence in this country. Spectrum 13 journalist Sally Spinger said during her live on-air report. Worldwide 14 journalists were reported killed last year, plus 2 this year, Wednesday, according to the Committee to Protect Journalists. Only 1 of those was in the United States. And guys, that's what happens once again when you don't have strong fathers in the home. You create gremlins. Given related energy, mama left and neglect. And that's what happens. They give related energy that mama left and neglect. And people don't believe it, guys. They don't believe it. But because when you try to tell them the truth, they get in their feelings because people don't want to be held accountable. They want to blame everybody else instead of looking at themselves. And so let's look at the next. Let's look at the next information, guys, real quick. And we're going to pull up the next video. Hold tight. And then I'm going to pull up a clip based on it from a clinical perspective. Hold tight. So once again, he killed a black woman, and then he went on a shooting spree, killing others. And this is Raekwon right here. Look at Raekwon. Look at Day Day and Man. I've seen these types going around killing innocent people because I promise you he was the spawn of a baby mama. Let's look at what this news reporter said. Hold tight, guys.
From entry level to software engineer, there's a way up for anyone because there's something for everyone. Healthcare and 401k matching on day 1, plus free technical training programs and prepaid tuition. Amazon helps employees learn and earn more.
You know, Summer, I apologize. This is really difficult to cover.
And God, this is what happens when you don't have structure and order, because men bring structure, discipline, and order. Men bring discipline, structure, and order. And, you know, I heard some of the guys talk about Deion Sanders, and we'll bring that up as well. Some got mad at Deion for saying that baby mamas are the byproduct of a lot of the chaos that we're having. They got mad at Deion. But I understood what Deion was saying, because ideally Deion was playing the odds. And you can't become a better virgin until you take accountability and look at yourself. That's men and women. But a news reporter is dead. His life is gone because this gremlin took his life. Hold tight.
It is very emotional here at ORMC. I'm not even going to turn the camera because there are people here who knew that reporter, who his fiance and I were just embracing. But I will say this. It is nice to see all the media. We come together in solidarity in this moment. This is every reporter's absolutely worst nightmare.
The fellow reporter, guys, was a recent newlywed, and they killed that young man. He was a recent news reporter, or the fellow news reporter was married, or he got married. But now this man will never see the light of day because this young man did not value life. And see, strong masculine men give values to their sons. Boys learn from their fathers. That's what happened when you had stronger, intact communities. But see, when you get a generation of women that don't value themselves, they don't value their body, they value swag over good, strong men, then you get a culture that love a soldier. They want a roughneck over a quality man that can help them build legacy and wealth. But instead of taking accountability, they don't take accountability. They deflect and they turn it back onto the man, and they accost or associate all black men with the sorry black men that they chose. Once again, men and women are responsible. But because women are the gatekeepers to their bodies, they have a higher level of culpability. And that's a problem. It's a serious problem, to say the least.
We go home at night afraid that something like this will occur. And that is what happened here. So again, we are at Orlando Regional Medical Center, where we have learned that one of our own, a fellow reporter, has died while out covering a shooting. There are members of his family here, along with his fiancée, who are just incredibly distraught tonight.
And I misquoted. He had a fiancée, so he wasn't married. He had a fiancée. So that man's legacy is cut off. It's cut off. That man's legacy is cut off because he did not have a value system that was consistent with honor and respect. And that's what happens, guys, once again, when you don't value human beings or you don't value human life. That's what happens when you don't value human beings and you don't value human life. You react irresponsibly, and then you take the life of multiple people because values or life means nothing to you, because your life is a life of chaos, because you don't have structure, guidance, and community to keep you in line. Once again, having an intact impact or intact home is not a guarantee that you won't go astray. But once again, guys, we're talking about the odds. We're talking about the odds. The odds are higher in intact two-parent homes than when women are having babies by multiple men that more or less breed forth gremlins that cause chaos. Shout out to Messa Mashan. Shout out to Messa Mashan for the gremlin concept. And the acronym that I created, once again, is given related energy, mama left, and neglect, because they over-identify with their mamas and they don't have a value system consistent with life. It's only a value system consistent with death, debauchery, irresponsibility, and being overly emotional.
There are other media people who are kind of corralled together and standing in solidarity tonight as one of our own has just passed. So I'm going to send it back to you guys so I can collect myself and get it together.
Luana, that's perfectly okay and understandable in this situation.
Right. And so, guys, you see it. This kid had a lengthy murder rate or murder rap sheet. He was complicit and doing a lot of negative things. And I'm going to show you guys a minute about the young baby that he took life, and then also the young lady, Augustine, because he took another woman. The first victim was a black woman. Her last name was Miss Augustine. And it's unfortunate, sad, to say the least, because she was doing a good deed. She went out to help him. And he took the woman's life because he did not value her, and he did not value life or anything associated with life. And once again, this is the problem that we're having, guys, where fathers are not around, and some of these women don't respect their bodies. The young lady was a 30-year-old woman named Natasha Augustine. That's who she was. So let me blow this back up. Hold tight. All right. So let me show you guys something. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you guys something real quick. And this is going to help you guys make sense to what I'm talking about. So this is what gremlins look like from the clinical. This is what it looks like. All right. So once again, gremlins are complicit in oppositional defiant disorder. Normally, the gremlin behavior that you see can be tied to oppositional defiant disorder. Onset before the age of 8 years old. They're defiant. They are aggressive. They're irritable, moody, defies authority, vindictiveness, and last more than 6 months. So this is the clinical or the mental health condition in the DSM-5 with a gremlin. Giving related energy, mama, left, and neglect. The behavior normally starts or is a byproduct of neglect and can often lead to other behaviors. Once again, defiant, aggressive, irritable, moody, defies authority, vindictive, and lasts more than 6 months. The behavior normally is a byproduct of neglect. And so once again, giving related energy, mama left, and neglect creates gremlins. ODD can turn to conduct disorder, and conduct disorder, guys, can turn to antisocial personality disorder. And it's a problem. Hold tight. All right. So this is what conduct disorder looks like, or categories of conduct disorder. It's child onset, which basically means it occurs when the symptoms of conduct disorder appears before the age of 10. Opposition defiant disorder is not as bad, but conduct disorder is worse because kids in the ODD don't like for folks to tell them what to do, but those with conduct disorder don't like for people to tell them what to do, but they're trying to control you, do manipulation, and many times they're very dangerous and they're aggressive. The adolescent onset is that it occurs when the symptoms of OD begins before the adolescence or teen years. And then unspecified conduct disorder refers to cases when the age of onset of conduct disorder is unknown. And that's a problem. So this could lead to personality disorder in the form of antisocial personality disorders. And the major issue associated with this is this, guys. The essential features of personality disorder diagnosis are impairments in personality, functioning, and pathological personality traits, including the following criteria: significant impairments in self, one or more pathological personality traits. Impairments are consistent across time. The impairments are not normally given. The impairments are not normal given the environment and the stage of development. The impairments are not a direct result of substance abuse or a medical condition. So that's what antisocial personality disorder looks like. Hold tight. And so I think I had this. Hold tight. So, guys, that's just a little small forte of kids that are born in single-parent homes without the tutelage of fathers. They can, and many times they produce a condition called gremlins. And these gremlins cause a lot of chaos. They cause confusion, and they cause a lot of distress, sadly. And what we don't understand is this: we can't get back to a point where things were normal, because when you can't take accountability or responsibility for bad behavior, then you will never change. And so when you got a group or a generation of reckless men, but then you got even more reckless women that don't want to look within themselves and take ownership, then the behaviors continue to get worse, and the behaviors continue to precipitate. And so once again, guys, it creates a condition called gremlins. And gremlins are creating havoc in our community. Now, one of the byproducts of a gremlin is this. Gremlins many times become gremlins when you feed them after night or they get water on them. But gremlins cannot stand sunlight, because sunlight represents truth. A gremlin can't take responsibility for himself, because many times gremlins are narcissistic. And gremlins don't take ownership for bad behavior. They blame it on everybody else, because they are immature and they have what's called a very fragile ego. And fragile egos lead to a fragile mind. A fragile mind leads to a fragile responsibility. And in the clinical world, we call it an external locus of control. A person that have an external locus of control blames the external environment for their issues. But a person that have internal locus of control, then they tend to say, I'm not going to let the external environment determine how I respond or act. So once again, Keith Melvin Moses took the life of Miss Augustine. And then he went on a vicious shooting spree, killing a 9-year-old baby and also killing a journalist and injuring another one. And then don't feel bad about what he did. But he just sees he don't see it as a big deal, guys. And that's a problem when, a person can take somebody's life and don't think nothing of it. That becomes a problem. Let me see if I can find, guys, let me see if I can find the 9-year-old baby that was shot. So once again, the little 9-year-old was an aspiring gymnast. She was a gymnast. She was an aspiring gymnast. And this same kid, man, is actually crying. So this is what this baby said before her life was taken. He said, he shot me, fatally wounded 9-year-old in Orlando, shooting, crying as she ran to her mother. This baby lost her life because this gremlin did not value life. He didn't value responsibility, because once again, many times they're the spawns of dysfunction. Hold tight. Let's look at this real quick. All right, hold tight.
Let's talk more about the people who work with those journalists. This tragedy putting devastated journalists at Spectrum News 13 in a really unimaginable position. They are forced to mourn the sudden loss of a coworker while continuing to do their jobs and bring the community the important information. As these reporters bravely tried to carry on last night, there were some moments where they could not deny their emotions. Watch this.
When we got the call and immediately went to the scene, there are a lot of people, of course, a lot of us still trying to wrap our head around.
And once again, guys, this is the world that we live in. This is the world that we live in. Chaos and the lack of order and the lack of structure leads to tears, because we're creating a generation of gremlins. Hold tight.
All of this, a very difficult situation, a difficult day for our family at News 13, but we are doing the best that we can to bring you this information.
A lot of people ask how we're doing. I'll be honest with you, not good, but we're doing the best we can as it hits us. And it's not just emotion for a colleague, but as a parent, to say a 9-year-old's lost their life. It's not good.
I'm innocent. I would never, under any circumstances.
And this is what happens, guys, when you live in a world where life is not valued and when children are not valued and where structure and order is not valued. So we're going to look at it in a minute. This 9-year-old baby's life was taken. I'm going to read through it a little bit. And I'm sad it's unfortunate. A 9-year-old girl was fatally wounded when a gunman broke into the family's Florida home after he shot one woman. Shooting a woman nearby hours earlier told her mother, "He shot me," as she ran for help. This little baby was a gymnast, according to the arrest affidavit released Tuesday. Sheriff investigators have said the suspected shooter, Keith Moses, is accused of killing a woman on Monday of February 22nd, which brought news crews to the scene. Hours later in the neighborhood just west of Orlando, a gunman shot Tiana Major and her mother, then went outside and fatally shot a reporter and wounded another, according to the affidavit for the arrest warrant. The court document says Tiana's mom was taking a nap when the assailant entered the backyard and then the home. She had told Tiana to get her dance items. This baby was a gymnast, and they said that she would have been the next famous gymnast. I can't think of her name. But together so she can be ready when her father got home. The mother has not been identified by law enforcement. And guys, this is the baby right here. Tiana Majors, the 9-year-old who was killed during a series of shootings in Orlando, Florida, on February the 22nd. So this baby will never see the light of day. She'll never see the light of day. She'll never see the light of day. She could never see what she could have contributed to the world because this gremlin took her life. The mother says she woke up to Tiana Major yelling, "He shot me." The baby was yelling and hollering, "He shot me," as she ran into the room and jumped into her bed. Detective Brian Savelli of the Orange County Sheriff's Department writes in the court document. When the mother woke up, she heard 2 gunshots and felt she was shot in the arm. The document continues. The mother then grabbed her daughter and barricaded in the bathroom until emergency responders arrived. Both were taken to the hospital where the baby died. The court document said Tiana was shot twice in the torso. So this baby was shot twice in the torso. Remember, guys, this baby was shot twice in the torso. 2 journalists for Spectrum 13 Orlando who was covering the initial shootings were targeted with gunfire as the assailant left the home, the document says, making an adjustment to a timeline of 3 incidents previously reported by the sheriff's office. According to the affidavit, minutes after the news crews arrived, Dylan Lennon Lyons was shot while in the front passenger seat of the crew's Ford Escape. He died at the hospital less than an hour later. The station of CNN affiliate said Lyons was 24 years old. This is a young man that lost his life because this kid, I promise you, probably had opposition defiant disorder, conduct disorder, and will have led to antisocial personality disorder. They don't have no regard of life because they are broken due to neglect. Once again, given related energy, mama left in neglect. And this is the world that we live in now, guys. This is the world that we live in, a world that's highly chaotic, a world without structure and order because people are so selfish and they don't value life, they don't value hard work, and they don't value, sadly, some of these women, they don't value their bodies. Photojournalist Jesse Walden was found wounded by the trunk of the SUV, deputy said. Authorities in the initial aftermath had said the journalist was shot before the girl and her mother. Natasha Augustine, 38, was killed in the initial shooting. So she got shot initially, and 5 hours before others slain, she was found lying outside her Hyundai sedan, which was driven by Moses' cousins, the affidavit said. And this is the world that we live in, guys. I promise you, this boy probably, and I'm going to guesstimate, it's a spawn of a baby mama which produces gremlins. According to the previous affidavit, the cousin said he was driving around with the woman in his car and had offered Moses a ride. The suspect entered the rear passenger side and sat behind the woman. Less than a minute later, the cousin said he heard a loud bang that the affidavit says. The suspect fled when the driver pulled over to call 911, court documents say. The new arrest affidavit adds that Tiana described her killer to respond to deputies. One witnessed cell phone video of the gunman. Moses was taken into custody about 20 minutes after the shooting. At the third scene, the affidavit timeline say investigators recovered a Glock 40 caliber pistol used in the shooting spree. And this is a clown that took the lives of a baby, a woman, a news reporter, and injured someone else. He killed 4 people, and one was left mortally wounded. And this is the kind of world that we live in now. Highly emotional, highly responsible, and probably got antisocial personality disorder. I mean, not antisocial, but oppositional or conduct. And that's why folks got mad at Dion, because what Dion's saying was correct. Dion got a lot of fire because Dion, in context, people understood what Deion Sanders was saying. Moses initially pleaded not guilty to one charge of first-degree murder. Authorities on Tuesday added 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder, and burglary charges. Moses was scheduled to appear in court, but his attorney waived his right due to behavior. And see, this is kind of man that don't deserve to live. He don't deserve to live, in my opinion. He needs his life taken. He needs to go to or get corporal punishment, even up to death, in my opinion, because they take people's lives because they realize there's no severe offense. It's extremely important to bring these charges forward, Sheriff John Mina said at a press conference Tuesday. Authorities have not discovered a motive, the affidavit says. And that's the world that we live in. That's the world that we live in now, guys. Chaos and also confusion. And people not willing or wanting to take accountability for their behaviors. They don't want to take accountability. They want to blame everybody else. And instead of looking at it within context, they minimize the bad behavior. And they blame everybody else instead of blaming themselves. And that's a problem in my mind, to say the least. Let me see if I can look this up real quick. Hold tight. No, I don't think I can bring that up. Hold tight. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Let me see. Hold tight. All right, let me stop this. All right, so give me Give me 1 minute, guys. I lost the connection. Give me 1 minute, and we're going to pull it up. Let me share this screen real quick. Let me share this screen. Hope they don't shut it down. Hold on.
All right, what you got first, Brad? Well, let me tell you. Keke Palmer versus the Troll. Keke Palmer.
So once again, guys, do you guys feel that kids that are the spawns of baby mamas actually cause a lot of the chaos that we're having in society? And I will argue, yes.
Hey.
I'm Tom.
I will argue, yes, guys. Hold tight.
Mama is officially a mama, y'all. Yeah.
Baby fixes car. Black baby, born during black. Like, where's the heat? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's dope. I mean, she's paying homage to all.
Let me see if I can find something. Hold tight.
Someone, baby, pull out. I would not.
She gotta go to her. Check it out. Understand?
Perspective.
And my big takeaway. Well, all these platforms.
Trying to find the part about them, but anyway.
And you might be wondering how I got here. I have a reputation for getting crazy things on camera. These fellas heard I was coming to their city, and they told me to link up, so I did. This is a story of St. Louis.
Homicide in East St. Louis.
And guys, many times these kids are the spawns of being raised in single-parent homes, sadly. What you're seeing is a spawn of a single-parent home. Shout out to Black Ram. How you doing, brother? Maybe you can come up at some point, Black Ram. We can chop it up. Thank you, sir. I didn't see Black Ram. Hold tight.
New video tonight, gunfire outside of a gas station. Grieving loved ones killed in the last week as police in East St. Louis investigate. The mother of one of the victims has had it.
We're about 20 minutes outside of St.
And guys, many times places like Chicago, St. Louis, Durham, Atlanta produce these kind of people. And that's why a lot of them got mad at Deion Sanders for what he was saying, sadly. Hold tight.
St. Louis. Let's talk to the locals and see if they think this is a good idea and what advice they have for us. We're going to St. Louis. It's apparently the #1 murder capital in this country. Is that something you're familiar with or you've heard anything about?
Absolutely not.
Yes, I have.
Is that a place you ever go to?
No, it's a place I avoid.
Too scary?
Oh, most definitely. I went there for last year's 4th of July. I swear, I heard gunshots everywhere more than I did fireworks.
Really?
Yeah.
So if we're going to meet a gang strapper, do you think that's a good idea?
I don't. For your safety and as a mom, stay away.
We're doing a documentary on St. Louis. Is it crazy as people say it is?
I will say that there's a lot of murders up there, probably at least once a day, the bare minimum.
Do you guys go in there strapped, or do you just stay out of certain neighborhoods, or what?
Be able to run quick, really. I keep to myself. I don't look nowhere I shouldn't be looking.
Because we're going to meet some gangster rappers.
I would be careful who you interview, and don't offend them.
All right, here we go. Most dangerous city in America. Highest murder rate. Thought it's only fitting today that I rock my lawyer's merch. If you're a Milwaukee guy that's into some shenanigans, give him a call. He can probably help you out. All right, let's do it. You know where we are, Keegan?
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's nice when you can pull it's fucking terrorists to their own spot. It's like, what the...
Fair use, guys. Fair use.
Oh my gosh.
What's up, fellas?
How's it going, boss?
All right. Fellas, where are we at right now?
Risking ass.
Yo, risking ass with it, man.
Hey, anything you don't want in camera, just hide it. Just because you never know who'll be watching this.
Yeah.
Oh shit, you guys fucking got your after school projects here, huh?
Yeah, after school projects right here, big toys.
So tell us about this area. I'm a Milwaukee boy. I don't really know.
Yeah, but look.
Who is this?
This is our people, fam.
You guys got the whole crew rolling in, huh? How would you describe this city?
Man, this motherfucker gruesome, goddamn me. This motherfucker real deal, goddamn me. You can't play no games with these niggas out here. Goddamn me, look, check this out. Check this out. Your own cut.
And guys, y'all see it. I used to work with these kind of kids. I used to work with them. Once again, many times they are the spawns of single moms, baby mamas, or not single moms, but baby moms, because a woman could be a single mom but not be a baby mama. And they produce gremlins. Once again, giving related energy, mama left in neglect. They got these high-powered rifles. They don't value life because they don't have structure and order associated with their fathers. Hold tight.
Hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Don't point anything at him, okay? Don't point anything at him. Hey, what's the St. Louis slang? What's St. Louis lingo?
What you trying to talk about? It depends on what you
Anything.
say. It's for ounces.
Is this the most crazy area in St. Louis?
No, this ain't the most crazy.
This ain't the most crazy area in St. Louis. Goddamn.
And a lot of these kids, guys, are like I said, they over-identify with their mama. They over-identify with mama. They never had masculine men. And when you challenge them, a lot of these boys, because they have either conduct disorder or opposition defiant disorder, when you challenge them or when you're trying to challenge them to structure and order, they'll say, "On my mama."
Yeah, put chain on them balls on my mom. They be broken balls. Kill some of my mom.
Bro,
They back me look like
That's on my monkey. That's on my monkey. That's on my monkey.
Guys, do me a favor and get the likes up, share the stream, and donate to the channel. I appreciate it, guys, to the 23 that are watching on tonight. The number's a little low, but that's fine. I'm grateful for the 23 that are here. Guys, hit the like button and donate to the channel. And once again, guys, they are the spawns of being born in single-parent homes or baby mamas, in my opinion. Minimum of the spawns of baby mamas. Hold tight.
It ain't nowhere particular that's crazy, goddamn. Everywhere in St. Louis, you gotta have that. See, look, if you ain't got one, you gotta have two. If you're gonna have a 9 or something like that, you gotta at least have 2 of them.
What do you think the neighbors feel about this? Are neighbors scared to go outside?
They think it's cool because they feel like they well protected type shit. They rather have some guns over here than not have no guns over here.
So I guess what's a day-to-day in your life, guys? What does it look like?
We just living every day another dollar.
young.
And guys, this is what happens when boys don't have structure and order. When boys don't have structure and order, this is what happens. Boys need structure and order in order to become the better versions of themselves. But when these boys don't have structure and order, they will result to chaos. Shout out to my man, Stephen Ray, for that $10 super stick. I really appreciate brother Stephen Ray. And Stephen Ray, because of your kind love offering, you are one of the #1 sponsors. And Stephen Ray, thank you, sir. And that's a deal, right?
That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Got 5 on it.
Yeah, Black Ram, that was a whole song called On My Mama by Jay Beezy, yeah. And that's a sign of dysfunction, guys, because it goes back to over-identification. Over-identification is a thinking error. It's a thinking error because boys should never over-identify with their mothers. They should over-identify with God and their fathers and respect their mom. Shout out to my man, Passport OG, for the 320. He said, "This is wild. You work with these kids." Yes, sir, I did, brother. And it was stressful, extremely stressful. And I also worked 2 years in corrections. I worked in corrections as well. Mental health correction officer, and 7 years with the Department of Juvenile Justice. But I would never do it again. It's not worth it, man. It will take your life fast because of the level of stress, guys. Hold tight.
In California, there's like they got Bloods and Crips, but like in Milwaukee, there's a lot of different groups. What is it like in St. Louis?
Like a lot of different gangs in St. Louis.
We got our own shit. Motherfuckers make their own shit.
So what do you guys spend your time doing in the summer?
Yeah, we out here getting money, shooting videos, fucking hoes. I just got on somebody's ass last night, if you want to be honest, cuz. I ain't trying to get too fed on this bitch, cuz.
No. Hey, so what's the vision? What do you see the future looking like?
Man, I see the future. I'm taking over this bitch. I'm going to be the king of this bitch, man. You going to see me everywhere.
So you guys can just chill outside like this and not worry about it.
I'm not worried about shit. Nigga know not to play with me, nigga.
And I'm going to tell you something, guys. Guys like this are dangerous. They'll take your life, and they won't think nothing of it. Black Ram, if you're in the house, man, feel free to come up and add to the conversation on Black Ram. Black Ram, if you're in the building, man, feel free to come in because you and I both got a similar background. Black Ram only. If you got a few minutes, brother. If not, don't worry about it. But you and I both are working in these kind of environments, and these kind of environments are highly dangerous and highly predictable because they don't have a regard for life. They don't have a regard for nothing outside of themselves because they're basically women on steroids.
Hey, niggas know not to talk. Niggas know not to come through.
Brother Black Ram, how you doing, dog? What's going on, brother?
Oh, I'm hanging in there, big bro. Just cruising through these YouTube streets. Man.
Yeah, man. It's an honor. Yeah, man. We got to do a show at some point, man. We got to do a show at some point, man.
I still got that idea for that show. We just got to work out the time.
Yes, sir. Let's do it, man. I'm looking forward to it. But Black Ram, when you see the pathology from the guy Keith Melvin Moses, but also this current fiasco with this man that killed the baby girl, he killed the mama. I mean, he killed the news reporter. He shot the mom. He killed another woman. You and I both have seen it. You've seen it in the Windy City in Chicago. I've seen it in Durham. What's going through your mind and your head when you thought about the man that took the life of this baby? And also,
few
go ahead.
things,
Yes, sir,
Kosher,
go ahead.
from being in Chicago, you know it's a lot of violence here. A few things going on. To your point, a lot of these men are raised by single mothers. That in and itself is a particular pathology. But alongside with that, these single mothers are usually, I'm not defending single mothers, but these single mothers are usually so distracted either by choice or by sheer ignorance. They're so distracted that they don't even realize that their children, particularly boys at a certain age, need mental help and they suffer from mental illness.
Yes, sir.
So they never get the medical and professional attention that they so desperately need, which could probably mitigate some of the violence. However, the pathology of being a single mother is inherent in such a thing to ignore your child. And it's popular. So you figure the single mothers out there literally were, and I know, listen, I got relatives like this, Kosher. We know people like this, but the single mom is more concerned about shaking her butt on somebody's dance floor or dealing with this guy and that guy. And their children are sent to school without proper meals, without proper sleep, without the proper behavioral management at home by that single parent. And what this lady, this single mom is doing is releasing a monster. And here's the thing, I'm all for personal accountability, Kosher.
Yes, sir.
But if you think about these young boys in these communities, they really don't have a chance. Number one, let's go through it real quick, right? You can stop me at any time because
No, you're fine. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
So let's look at this, right, from A to Z. So A, the mother that they have is one in who picks the worst man she could possibly find as far as character. And gets impregnated by it. Now we can debate nature versus nurture, but we can kind of tell that there are behaviors that are genetic that comes from the father and the mother. So first he picks the absolute worst person in the community to procreate with. So that's problem number one. Problem number two, the mindset of the mother who would pick the worst of the worst to have a child with. And then so-and-said thuggo ends up going to jail or unalive. She's left to do it by herself, or that particular thuggo don't necessarily care, want to be around so much so, or can't be around. Now she's raising this child by herself, which is really not raising, but you're working a 9 to 5 and you're working partying and drinking. So your child gets neglected. So if there's any need that they have, and the school systems are exhausted because they have to worry about managing behavior than classroom instruction. So if you're born to a melanated single mother, you are inherently broken and flawed and really don't have much of a chance unless you're the exceptional human being that's extremely resilient and can see through the programming. But what chance does a boy have who grows up with his ghetto single mother, who, even though she may be educated, still believes that the hood should be glorified, which is 9 times out of 10. And then you in an environment that only glorifies jumping in the bed and violence and vice. So that's the ghetto subculture that you come from, and that's what your mother enforces on you. What could we expect to have more than a monster? That's a monster culture.
It is a monster. And, Black Ram, when I was in law enforcement, man, our backgrounds are similar. I was a mental health correction officer for 2 years. Stressful. I mean, extremely stressful.
Yeah.
Did 7 years with the Department of Juvenile Justice working with adjudicated youth. And tell me what you think about this, Black Ram. I say it's a difference between a single mama and a baby mama, because a woman could be a single mom due to divorce or her husband died or something, or maybe a widow. But a baby mama is a woman that's reckless, that's go around making kids with multiple men and don't have no regard for her body. Baby mamas are different than single moms, in my opinion, because baby moms have 4 or 5 litters by multiple men. They don't have no regard for their bodies. They love a certain type of men based on imprint. And many times they create these gremlins. Shout out to Messi Mashawn. And the acronym Black Rams, like I said, based on the pathology from the DSM-5, is giving related energy, mama left and neglect. So basically, they give the energy associated with their mom based on what she had as relates to making these boys be neglectful. Yes. And it's a major problem, guys, in my opinion. Professor Max, I'm gonna bring you on in a few minutes. How many minutes you got, Ram? How many minutes you got, brother?
I got a good probably 5-10 minutes before.
All right, 5 more minutes. Okay, cool, no problem. Thank you. And I look forward to that show at some point. Hold tight.
We're bouncing his ass. I know what Bo's gonna do today. I'm gonna do a flip 007, come out the cut. You just know what it is out here. You just know what it is.
Ram, when you see these guys with this high-end artillery, man, what do you think about it, man, when you see guys with this high-end artillery, man?
A couple of things. I see boys who are out of touch with reality, not realizing the seriousness of what they're doing to themselves and their community. But I also see a situation where somebody had to give them this heavy artillery because they're not going to these gun stores and making purchases with their, whatever license that's necessary. They're not doing that. So I know for a fact, growing up, and there's some evidence that it still happens today, that the freight train would roll through the hood, but the culture and some boxes would just fall out. And those boxes just happen to have the same things that these guys have in their hands. So this is by design, man. It's by design. It's sad that our people don't see that. I'm not talking about the people in the chat. I'm talking about in mass.
No, right. I agree. Right.
Yeah, this is by design. So when
it is by design. Yes, sir.
Yeah, when you see that kind of artillery, well, it's what you should expect. Because here's the thing, here's another pathology that comes from having a baby mama. In some cases, a single mama. They are instructing these boys to have self-hatred. What do you think? I don't need no man, and man ain't S-H-I-T that you hear from mama your whole life. How many times can you hear men ain't S-H-I-T and your daddy ain't S-H-I-T before that has an effect on you as a child? Right. And then when you grow up and become a man, what you gonna think about yourself and other men? You ain't shit. You know what I mean? So it's baked in the bread, brother. It's baked in the bread. The only problem is, well, I ain't saying the problem. The sad thing is that there's really not much we can do about it because it's so ingrained. It's so ingrained. It goes so deep in the culture, man. This is like a cultural thing as well, man. A ghetto subculture, man. And it's
ghetto subculture,
right. And it is so prevalent, man, that to them, the people in the hood, it's normative.
It's normal, right?
Yeah, this is just the way everything is. Always the thing with everything always was. I see 50-year-old men, kosher, with their hat cocked and their pants sagging.
That's true. Yes, sir.
So these are eternal boys that never grow up. And let me say this one thing. One of the major problems that we have as men is that we think our value, because we've been feminized, is based on our height, our wee size, and the amount of money we have.
Right.
And that is so wrong. There's more to masculinity to that. And all the things I just mentioned, is that what serves females. So now these men have an extreme feminine mindset, and they really set themselves up just to be a utility for a female. So in them is really no personality, no morality, no values, no principles. So these men are defective and undeveloped, and it just leads to more and more of the same. So then the women find these guys that was raised by the baby mama, and then the young girls in the hood only select them to procreate with, and the cycle continues. Because guess what? Here's a pathology, another pathology. And I'm very serious about this. I can't say 100% of African American females, but I'll say over 85% of African American females only find thugs attractive. It doesn't matter what you look like. If you're not a thug, they don't find you attractive because we know they love that evil and that chaos. So the only time reproduction is going on in the hood is with the worst men possible. And the cycle is never ending.
What did you think about what Deion Sanders said, Black Ram, and all the negative animus that he got?
I think he has a point.
I agree. He was right in my opinion because so what people don't understand when we say this, we know that kids, Black Ram, in a 2-parent intact home can be recidivists as well. We know they can become deviants, but we're talking about the odds. We're talking about the odds. The odds are a lot higher. So when you look at statistics, you have what's called a central tendency. You ever heard people say they tend to be? So the tendency is based right in the middle, based on the bell curve. So the central tendency is right in the middle, which is you got the average, you got the mean, and then you got the mode. And that's what they mean by the central tendency. So they have a tendency to supersede deviancy versus a child born in an intact family with a strong father having structure and order. But it's no big deal to them, man. They over-identify. You saw this fool walking damn around. He killed the baby, shot the baby in the torso, killed the black woman, killed the news reporter, and he got a smirk on his face, man. He got a smirk on his face. When you see this kind of stuff, you see it with your line of work where you're at. What does it do to you psychologically, man? Does it wear on you and your spirit psychologically?
It does, but I've been around it so long, Kosha, growing up in the hood and then having a job that all you're dealing with is hood stuff. So it's to a point where I'm almost, I still have enough sense to say, hey, this is terrible, but I'm kind of desensitized because I grew up in an environment where it was nothing but death. Right. And I still work in such an environment. I mean, the line of work I come in, and it's not uncommon to see a guy come in with blood on his clothes, not from himself, but for what he just did to somebody else. So it's like, I mean, and I'll have to say this, if working where I work at and growing up where I grew up at, a lot of people will be surprised at how much stuff is not on the news. It will blow your mind, brother, the stuff that they don't put on the news. They don't put on the news. Yes, sir. It's amazing. So I would say I'm indifferent, Kosher, but I'm desensitized. But I have to say this, to be honest, the goal was always to get far away because it's now in Chicago and all cities throughout America. When we were growing up, Kosher, it was gangbanger on gangbanger, thug on thug. Right. So you really didn't have to worry much. In fact, they had so much respect when I was growing up. If there was about to be a gunfight, I remember the older guys in the hood telling us, hey, y'all need to get in the house and get away from the windows because it's about to be some SHIT. They had enough respect. If guys wanted to get you and you was with your mama, that was a no-go. So even the gangsters had codes, right? But the problem now is that, like just the other day, young lady coming home from church, literally coming home from church in Chicago, end up getting a bullet in the face. Not on purpose, straight bullet. Mother of two or three, and her life is gone. Had nothing to do with what was going on in the hood. Went to a church that was community centered. But this is what happened to it. And that story is something that happens all the time in Chicago. I'm talking about all the time. So the problem now is that these guys with these guns, now the school teachers caught in the crossfire. The grandmother, and just getting off work is caught in the crossfire. That's something that didn't happen much, if ever, when I was growing up, brother. I mean, when I was in the 80s and 90s, you wouldn't hear about somebody get hit with a straight, but we knew it could happen. But it wasn't something that happened often. Now it's something that happened all the time. So these neighborhoods, and I have to say this, Kosher, I'm not sure what political fence you're on, but it's really not about that. But it just so happened to be that these liberal Democrat-run cities
I totally agree.
The hotbed for this type of, or the hotbed for this type of action.
Yes, sir.
The goal for me has always been to get as far away from that as possible for my own safety and sanity, man.
Yeah, man, I saw you basking in glory with that beautiful Thai woman, man. That was a work of art, man. I was so happy for you, man. You like your blood. Remember I saw back in the day, you say, girl, you make my love come down?
Yeah.
Man, that was beautiful, man. I was so happy for you, man. She seemed like she was engulfed under your masculinity, man. I could tell the peace that I saw on your face, man. We'll talk about that in private at some point. But thank you for dropping in, man. Just let me know when you get ready to do the show, man. I look forward to doing it, dog. Appreciate it.
Definitely. Let me say what's up to my brother, Professor Max. Good to see you, brother.
If we keep running into each other like this, I'm going to have to invite you to dinner.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No doubt.
Appreciate
No
you,
doubt.
brother.
See you, man. I'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely. And shout out to Joseph Rosenberg and Professor.
No
Hope to see you tomorrow on this show, brother.
All right, man.
Right. Appreciate it, man. Thank you, Black Ram. So, Bro Max, how you doing, brother? How you doing, sir? Professor, how you doing, sir?
Man, I'm impressed. You know what? I got invited to come here, and I'm happy.
Okay, cool.
You dove right into it.
Right.
There was no charlatanry. There was no show. It was get to the facts, and then you broke it down psychologically, which, okay, there's a lot of men's groups that have like specific niches. Okay, I'm a firefighter. I'm a fire chief down here in the International Fire Station.
Yes, sir.
And I basically get veterans that get out of the military that don't want to go back to the States, don't want to go back overseas, that they don't want to go back to fucking Germany. I'll hold their hand and put them through fire school. So while doing that, I'm also helping them reprogram themselves because some of them have been abused. A lot of them have been really abused.
Right.
Now, I take in all branches of service, but the most that I get are typically Marines and Air Force guys.
Right.
I used to get a ton of Army guys down in Medellin doing like forestry, but that was pretty much, they're just not well enough to be able to handle that environment just yet. So I push them through this program. But I have a kids program, and we have a junior fire department that actually goes to fires, and we teach kids how to use drones and how to use LiDAR and how to, thermal cameras and things like that. And their age is 7 to 12 years old. And the reason why it's important for boys to have time with their fathers or a figure, if they don't have a father at all, if they do have a father and there's some alienation going on, I pretty much get to the bottom of that. I was alienated for 22 years by my son. The Kaiserslautern military community on Ramstein Air Force Base helped locate my son after 22 years. I was not looking for him as hard as I could have, but he sure as fuck wasn't looking for me. So all that aside, there is a lot of broken hearts in the men's community, and our eyes are opened. Okay. And I'm going to tell you what Kevin Samuels did for me. He decoded the ability to say no to abuse.
Right.
That's just, if you could narrow it down to one thing, this guy cared enough about himself and his community to say no. And you know what happens when you say no to a psychopath? That's the real person that comes out.
Right.
If you have somebody using you that is using you like a simp or whatever, or you're a simp enforcer, and you tell that person no more, and they freak out, that's the person, the real person that you supposedly care about.
Bro, first, let me ask you a question, man. When you think about the pathologies that we see now, we see it, you see it, I see it. I used to work in law enforcement. My background is very eclectic. I got a background in law enforcement. I got a background in education. I taught school, and now I'm a clinical therapist. But based on your profession, or based on your opinion, what percentage would you say, sir, is complicit in the pathology of being born under the auspices of baby mamas? And what I mean by baby mamas, it's white, black, or whatever. It supersedes race. But the recidivist numbers tend to be higher where these kids are born under the auspices of baby mamas. What's your take on that based on what you've seen?
Okay, let's take a sample space.
Okay.
Let's talk about that first so everybody knows what we're talking about so we don't confuse anybody.
Right.
Okay, a sample space is when you have basically like 3 different nuts, a peanut, a walnut. You have 3 different things separated by category. And you compare these things to one thing to another in order to prove not a hypothesis, but a theory. So if I know that I put baking soda with vinegar, there's a possibility there's going to be a reaction, because that's all chemistry is a reaction of chemicals. It doesn't necessarily have to do anything with chemicals. You and I are having a reaction right now. You're having a reaction to the fire that's about to come out of my mouth in a second. There is mental health issues that are so profound in Mexico that a lot of people don't know about. They idolize the cartels. They idolize reggaeton artists. They had idolized the guy who shot somebody down the street, and they were so happy to hear that somebody had gotten shot. So it's across the board, dependent upon your socioeconomic status. Rather wealthy Mexicans don't even go in public. They live in their own little worlds in Mexico City, or they live in the highest towers there. They never go out in public. And when they do, it's with other wealthy people. So they don't go out with low class, the people that are the poorest of the poor that you see on television, they would never hang out with those people. And these are the kind of people that idolize. They make up for 80% of the population here in Mexico, which is 155 million people. So there is a connection to complicity. Because you think about, I mean, come on, peer pressure is a real thing. Let's face it.
It is, right.
I am in the righteous sphere. I'm not going to go pick up prostitutes. I don't give a shit how many dudes go with me to downtown, wherever. Okay. I'm not into that. It's not my thing. I wouldn't be in the same room as a prostitute. And I've been a passport bro since 1992. So I'm not even messing around. Now, if you want to take it, to look at it like this, mental health goes in cycles. The only way to break it is to create discipline in children. 7 to 12 years old, boys need to learn mechanics. They need to learn masculine traits, how to change a tire, how to change oil, how to do basic things that is not digital.
Right.
I mean, one of the guys who just coming right now, his name is XL Pros. He's one of these floor guys that does like these little pieces of like wood pieces and makes them into puzzles.
Right.
Boys need to learn trades.
Right.
And you understand this, they systematically removed all the trade schools in the United States.
Right.
So XL Pros and a friend in Arkansas, he started Hobbs University. It's a welding school. And he has people going there and teaching people how to weld like houses out of containers, shipping containers and things like that. And you know what I mean? These guys are students. I'm taking all the alcoholics that the jail didn't want, and they put them into this one building for a year. And I was like, what are they doing all day? I said, how about this? If they can commit to a year of training with me, when they walk out of the jail, they don't go back to the crack house. They go in uniform back to their mom's house and say hi for a minute, and then you got to get to work.
Right.
These boys have to go through basically 4 years of college in 1 year, and they have to get fit. They have to be able to do push-ups and do all this stuff, but psychological help. So we have yoga instructor goes there twice a week, teach them how to meditate. Nothing religious related, because I don't want to confuse anybody at this point in time. I'm not going to pigeonhole anybody, Christian, Buddhist, or whatever. It works for me. I'm a combat veteran. You can tell. If you can't tell, I am. And it has worked wonders for me and the children, because the children, I do have some psychopaths, and you can tell right away. I got some little baby Mike Tysons. I teach jujitsu, which teaches boys how to handle themselves emotionally, which is why whenever you see me say things like mental jujitsu, basically it means like you have a situation here where you can respond emotionally and get in a fight and beat the guy's ass. But if you handle it differently and you show absolutely just apathy towards the situation and happiness towards another, if he doesn't punch you in the face, it's an intimidating move. I'm kind of an intimidating guy when you see me in person. I'm not like
fire for your mind. Kosher clinician.